gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 185. So there are really two things I want to talk about in this vlog. The first thing is internet, YouTube related. The second thing is a business sort of story, or not story, concept that is getting popular these days. This whole concept of a drop, where these brands or these companies will build up the hype, and then all of a sudden in one day they basically blast an email out and they open the store and sell just crazy amounts of inventory and merchandise in that single day. Talk more about that in a second, and why the title of this is Selling $1 Million in 24 hours. But the first thing I want to talk about is something that was commented down below, and I actually addressed on my Alpha M YouTube channel, which was something that I normally don't do. So I got roasted by these two dudes on a YouTube channel called Memeulous. And it was Saturday night, right? And I'm just chilling at home, having a lovely evening. And all of a sudden I go to YouTube, and the algorithm, because I search Alpha M a lot, because I want to see where my videos are falling and when things are publishing and things of that nature, first thing I see was the thumbnail for the title of the video, titled, "The Internet's Biggest Alpha Needs to Be Stopped." And I gotta tell you, there is nothing that can prepare you for seeing something like that. I literally felt like I was going to throw up, because I knew A, it wasn't going to be positive, and B, I've had these type of videos before, and I knew that it was just going to be hurtful, and it was going to affect me. And that's something that, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I still get affected by negative comments. I still get affected by negative videos about me. And about, I don't know, probably about 8 months, there were quite a few negative videos about me that were going out. It all started with the movement / Rolex, movement is better than Rolex video that I did, which was a tactical error. There was a dude named Ben who was basically the leader of the negative takedown pieces on me. And the thing that hurt me about that, this guy that did that video, he and I actually had a conversation about movement watches and my feeling on them and the fact that I like them and all that good stuff. Anyway, this video isn't about movement. Long story short, he was somebody that I knew, somebody that I met, and then it seemed like all this negativity just started piling on me. And then the watch community got a hold of it, and it was boom. And then I did that interview with Teddy, which also was a tactical error on my part, and it taught me a lesson. It taught me that you just need to shut your mouth and let it pass. The good news is that the internet has a short attention span, and something bigger, more dramatic, more, oh my God, I can't believe he said this or did this, will come up in a week or so. But during that period, there were a few more really bad negative videos directed towards me and Jose. And it really hurt me, because a lot of these people that were talking and chiming in, and I would just go to the videos and look down in the comments, a lot of them were people that I considered friends, or people that I've helped in the past. And so that was the thing that was so hurtful to me about that. And so I didn't know these guys, Memeulous. I've never heard of their channel. And so when I saw this, all of a sudden, all these emotions and the flashback of this is really going to suck for a while. Because also, I'm thinking about all of the recent videos and takedown pieces on people like James Charles, and then that Tati, all this drama, and Tifu, and there's just so much drama going on in YouTube, and all these people canceling each other and unsubscribing and just being all nasty and shitty, part of my language, to people. And so when I saw that video, before even press and play, I was just, I knew what I was in for, and it sucked, and I almost threw up. But I'm I gotta see what they're saying. And the other thing that sucked, it was only up for 3 hours, and it had 300,000 views. So it wasn't some of these other people that have done negative videos about me that, yes, they're good videos for them. They get really high views because they, show me in the thumbnail. And I'm just saying that in relation to, a lot of times there's this habit of smaller YouTubers putting somebody who's bigger than them, who knows that people are going to be like, oh my God, what are they saying about whomever? They put them in the thumbnail, and those videos do real well for them, and that's kind of like a growth strategy. And so these dudes I had never heard of, I looked, I'm like, oh my God, they've got millions of subscribers. This is gonna suck harder than anything else that's gone out. And I was pleasantly surprised. The first thing that really just made me feel good, honestly, and just like, okay, this is gonna be okay, is that down in the comments, when I press play, I real quick looked to see what was pinned, and they made a comment about, hey, don't send hate to Alpha. He seems like, or I think they said Alpha. He seems like a pretty decent guy. And so that was like the first thing I was like, all right, this might not be so bad. And then I watched the video, and the videos that they showed, I'm very proud of. It was videos like how to not be beta and how to be more alpha and things of that nature. And for you guys who follow me, you know that I'm not some like beat your chest, like super like, go slay a bunch of, like, I'm a pretty reasonable guy, and the whole alpha sort of mantra or mentality all got started because of my image consulting business. When I started an image consulting business like 13 years ago, it was going to be for men, and I was like, oh, what's a name that says man without being like king of the jungle? And so I named it Alpha M instead of like Alpha Male. It seemed like a more stylized version, and so I did that. And then I started the YouTube channel, and it was all about sort of that side of things in terms of style and helping guys in that area. And so that's kind of how it happened. It's really just recently, in the past few years, that the term alpha has become a little bit more mainstream in terms of, there's a lot of talk about like toxic masculinity and the buzz feeders and people, so there's like part of the audience is like rebelling against that. Like, oh my God, don't tell me, it's part of the audience that hates that term. There's another part of the audience that is like, these dudes that I even know, like the Brett McKays and the Ryan Micklers and some of the, and Tanner Guzzi that really embrace the idea and the ideal of being like an alpha male and being a provider and being, responsible and resourceful. Me, I was just a dude talking about style. And the irony behind the whole thing is that I'm 5'6". When you think about an alpha male, it's not a dude it's not me, right? Somebody who tweezes their eyebrows, wears earrings, and manscapes. I'm not what the technical and classic term alpha male really represents. But it sort of just stuck. It was my name, and I've sort of leaned into it. But the videos that I do now, a lot of them the titles are to be a little bit catchy, right? Beta, that's a word that people are like, oh, beta, they get all freaked out about. And so I knew that video was going to garner some potential backlash. But all the points that I make in the video, everything that I said in that video and the other videos that I talk about being alpha and beta and stuff like that, I stand by it 100,000%. Because at the end of the day, if you actually watch them and listen to the message, it's just about hoping and trying to help everybody just feel good about themselves and be as confident, happy, and well-adjusted as possible. And that, at the end, I just almost said the end of the day. Every time I've been catching myself because I realize that it's not just that video that I did the other week. I say it more than I should. And so it's one of those filler words or filler phrases that I use that I'm trying to get my hands around. And so all my friends and family, I said, if you hear me say it, like smack me in the face or just tell me. Anyway, I didn't say it. Now I lost my train of thought. I am focused on helping people feel good about themselves. That's it. All of my videos really revolve around that. Now, some of them are a bit more out there in terms of topics. Some of them are a bit more sort of in your face, but the phrase I normally use, insert that here, it's about helping people and just wanting people to feel good about themselves and trying to be a positive voice. Because I know that life's tough, right? It's hard, it's challenging. And I want to be a voice of hope. I want to be a voice of just do good, feel good, and try to do the best job you can. And if you can do that and you can ultimately figure out what makes you happy and feel good without crapping on other people, you've succeeded in your alpha. So the video happened, and because it wasn't this big negative thing, I didn't really experience like a big backlash. but I wanted to address it because it was a video that was about me, and it was a video that looked from the surface very clickbaity, like this guy is a big a-hole. I wanted to address it, and I wanted to talk to my audience, you guys, because what I saw in the comments touched me incredibly deeply. They were so positive. 98% of the comments that were left on that video were talking about me being a decent dude and not being this big, monster, beat your chest a-hole that the title would lead you to believe. And so I wanted to just address it. And I think I need to do that a little bit more often, but there's a fine line between being open and talking and defending yourself and there's really no need. Like, just move on and stop perpetuating it. And so this was a time where it was it was a joke, and that kind of thing I understand. The fact that I call myself alpha and that I do all these videos talking about this, I get it. And it wasn't bad, it was funny. I have very thin skin when it comes to people criticizing me in terms of me being a jerk or being like a jerk. But in terms of being able to laugh at myself, that I do all day long. And I have no problem with people poking fun at me. And I don't know, I just felt I owed you guys an explanation. And so I did that video, and it felt good. It felt great to get it. It was received incredibly well. And it was awesome. But, at the phrase I almost said, it still was really scary to see that happen. And I know I'm going to see him again, but it sucked. And I hope I don't, but I know that I will. And the bigger that I get, the more people are going to want to, say something negative about me. And it's something that I'm trying to get my head around, because believe it or not, I never set out to be, a personality or a celebrity or anything like that. And I never in a million years thought that people would be doing like negative videos about me. But here we are. And I'm not saying poor me, please don't, because in the video that I did talking about the downside to being internet famous, people are like, oh, poor you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's hard sometimes when people want to say something bad about you. And it's even harder when you don't feel like you can defend yourself, but you need to really just take it with a grain of salt as much as possible and manage it, I guess, and try not to screw up and do, as PewDiePie says, an oopsie. Now, let's talk about business. $1 million in a single day. This was the title of a Jose Zuniga vlog that he and his brother and some other people put together. And they talked about this most recent launch or drop of their essentials. So as you guys know, Jose, he's a friend of the Tiege Hanley family. He has a clothing line called Essentials. He's done a few different drops as they say, where you build the hype, build the hype, build the hype. You build an email list. When you guys have inventory, you're ready to rock, boom, you unleash the hounds and sales just go crazy, nuts, ridiculous. A lot of businesses are starting to do that because okay, so a lot of businesses are doing that. You've got the Supreme, Alpha Elite for Christian Guzman. He, I believe, does that still. Jose, I'm getting ready to do it with Enemy, the sunglass company. And there's upside and there's downside to this. So for you guys out there that are thinking about starting a business, if you have a way to build an email list, everybody who goes to your website, everybody who lands there, you should be trying to capture their email address, because this is your list. These are the people that are warm, that are interested in possibly buying your product, buying your service. Tiege Hanley, when we did this vlog, when we started it, the idea was that we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know that it was kind of like this drop type thing, but we were building an email list because we wanted to build an audience that when we said, okay, the doors are open, it wasn't crickets, right? Because that's the other thing. If you just have a business and you're like, okay, I'm open, that's when you're starting, right? You're starting from zero momentum. But what happens when you do these drops, you've got a crazy amount of momentum. And so when you launch or when you send that email, hey, we're open, you have the ability to sell out in a single day, depending on your inventory levels, depending on your demand, depending on a lot of different factors. Sounds great, right? You sell all of your inventory, all of your merchandise in one day. Jose did $1 million of essential sales. That includes shipping and all that stuff in one day. Great, right? Well, yes, it's great in the sense that you know you have a product that people want to buy, you are selling a lot, you're making a lot of money. But there is a huge downside to doing that in terms of customer service, logistics, returns, all of the fulfillment. I mean, you know, when you sell that much merchandise, that much inventory, the fulfillment and the amount of time it takes to process orders is ridiculous. And if you try and go too fast, you're going to screw up the orders. And if you screw up an order, you've got to then ship a new product, get something back. I don't know what your return policy is, but there's a lot of risk that goes in, and a lot of manpower, a lot of logistics that goes into selling that much that fast, as opposed to doing something a little bit slower. When Tiege Hanley did our dropper, when we launched, you know, we had a pretty big email list. Well, 10% of our email list upon launching bought Tiege Hanley, which was great, right? That was great. It was big because that was like our first, like, come, here we are. And it was manageable because of the systems and the way that we sort of pre-packaged Tiege Hanley, and all you got to do really is get the order. You print out, like with Tiege Hanley, it's great, right? Let me back up a little bit. We have pre-packed our level 1s, 2s, and 3 boxes. We also now have Acne 1 and 2 pre-packaged, pre-boxed. So we've got a team of fulfillers that come in and pack boxes. Our shelves, as you guys have seen, stay stocked with the boxes. So that when we get orders, all you got to do in the shipping software that we have is what's called a batch, where all the level 1s, boom, you print it, it spits out all the labels. You grab all of those boxes off the shelf, set them on the table, and then boom, you just start slapping labels. It's easy to do when you've only got a few products. But when you're talking about clothing, you've got sizes. You've got people buying multiple, you know, it's what they call pick and pack. Right? And so it only takes one person to screw up and your profit margin can be like totally eliminated, because shipping is expensive. Shipping is the biggest thing that you're going to have to figure out other than marketing. Shipping logistics is challenging. Domestically, it's challenging, it's expensive, but once you go overseas, it's even more daunting of a task. And, you know, at the end of the day, shit, sorry, I just said it. The customer's always right. You can't be like, yeah, you're lying, right? You can't do that, because in the world that we live, you need to provide not only good customer service, amazing customer service. As exciting as it is to sell all of your products and sell through, it's so challenging, and in my mind, it's super scary to think about the customer service experience and what you're in for in terms of returns and dealing with customers that are emailing you, where are my orders? Like, there's so much that goes into when you sell a product, right? You sell it, it ships, they get it, they track it. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. And to do that on such a massive scale all at once, if there's one problem, that's a big problem, like a huge problem, as opposed to when you open a store and you start selling and it's gradual. It gradually builds. And so the difference, you know, in a scenario in business where you drop all your inventory at once versus a company like, I'm just going to use Pete and Pedro as an example. Pete and Pedro, you know, it does good amounts of revenue, but it's daily and it's spread out over the year. With these big drops, you're selling out and you're selling out, but then you're having to wait, you know, 3 months or 2 months or 4 months for a new shipment, a new drop, boom. So you're doing all of your business, then you're waiting for like 3 months, like nothing to do, right? Then you get, boom, big order again, you drop again, boom, and then you got another 3 months to chill and wait for inventory. Well, during that time, what do? You have to hire like seasonal people or people that are only there to help you during the busy times. And so hiring is another issue. You never really get the opportunity to build the camaraderie of a team. Now, Jose and his friends and family, you know, they seem like they do a lot of things together, so I'm sure that they've got other things going on and they can afford to, you know, keep people on and hire them. But Yeah, there's just all sorts of issues when you think about the logistics behind dropping and being that successful and selling that much that quick. But it's something that you got to decide. If it's something that you can do, great. If it's something that you can't do or don't feel comfortable with, and really it boils down to you having the ability to grow an email list. Because like I said, anybody who's coming to your website, you should be trying to capture their email address. Because if they never come back, you've got no way to go back after them and try to sell them anything. And you know if they've been to your website, they're warm, right? Now remarketing, through like Google payment or Google advertising, that's a different story and not something that we're gonna cover in this vlog. But selling that much, like I said, the upside to it, you sell out, you make money right up front. You also, here's another upside, you also have the ability at that point to reorder, right? When you have that much revenue that fast, your profit margin is good. And so you have the money to buy, your next order, as opposed to somebody that's doing it more slowly like a Pete and Pedro. You've got to make sure that you have to save a lot so that you can then reorder at some point in the future in which you need. But the flash sale, you have the money to reorder pretty much immediately, so you can keep the cycle going. But like I said, it is a nightmare when it comes to logistics, as I can only imagine. Tiege Hanley, our launch, our drop was big, and it was everybody, all hands on deck. It was challenging, but it was manageable. Selling $1 million in a day of clothing, you got to pick and pack, and people get sizes that are wrong and want a bit whoa, that's more than that I want to deal with. And that's one of the reasons why I've never done sort of like a clothing line. I have toyed around with selling M apparel back on the I Am Alpha M website, but it didn't get me excited. I didn't like it, and it was not what I was passionate about. And so I didn't do it. Or I stopped doing it, I should say. In terms of the sunglasses, we'll see. I'll keep you posted. We're probably launching that in like 2 to 3 weeks. And we've got a fixed number. We've got a fixed quantity. We've got an email list that's pretty big, not like crazy massive, which I don't know what that really even means. And we're gonna see. We might sell out, we might not, and who knows. But at the end of, see, it's hard not to say for me. We'll see. It's a big question mark. Speaking of questions, that is a lot of information packed in a very short amount of time. Actually, I think we went long on this one. Down in the comments, if you've got a business question, last week we really didn't have any, and that's why I felt comfortable going over 2 pretty deep topics today. If you have a business question about you starting a business, entrepreneurship, pretty much anything, down in the comments, let us know. Start it with business question and then ask your question. Next week, we're going to get to some of your business questions. Also give you an update on Tiege Hanley. A bunch of the team members are at a conference as we speak, as I film this. And so we're not having our big level 10 meeting tomorrow, which is okay. But I miss everybody. And we got some things we got to figure out. We got some things that are good. We got some things that are great. We got some things that aren't so great. It's a business. That's what you're signing up for. Gentlemen, we love you more than our double monk strap shoes, and we will see you bright and early next Sunday at 12 noon Eastern. Make sure to subscribe. Get that notification bell on so you never miss an incredible Tiege Hanley business vlog. Gentlemen, we'll see you next week.